developing like a space city or city for the space. Why? Because now we are opening science center or innovation center, like in Aha, Tartu. So we have our facilities here. So today we have also observatory and planetarium, which is very interesting for young generation, for pupils. And if you are talking about our partners and other countries, the nearest place, of course, is Poland. We saw big antennas, and of course, in Scandinavia we have colleagues. But if you are talking about us, we definitely have our advantages here, and we could use this. That is why the space city is here. And about dissemination, we got from French colleagues this Scooby-Doo video for Warner Brothers. So this is very cool. It's Scooby-Doo was also our antennas. This is for schools to speak about Baltic countries, and if you're talking about Latvia, they were speaking about Irbene. This is very cool. You can see, I can send you later this link. Okay, maybe you can connect your laptops.
There is also some sound.
Sound?
Is it okay?
Yeah, that's good. But from your computer or from projector, yeah?
From my computer, I'm not sure they can hear. But,
Yeah, but
Can I ask you to leave my mic on?
yeah.
Just for Anna.
What?
Yeah, just need a microphone kind of just here. And I think if I leave it on the table, it will just pick up everything that people are saying.
Okay, yeah.
They just record it.
Recording? Oh, okay. So this.
is it okay if I'm sitting here?
I will check that.
I can change.
Or maybe you can watch stuff.
Yeah, okay.
I also quit on the board,
Yeah.
and I have like 5 different balls.
Yeah. No?
Yeah.
You had to go to the toilet to
Okay.
wash it out.
Kind of like careful inspection.
No, apsēsties, lai mēs varam parunāt.
Think of
There you go.
Okay. Okay, so let's. Yeah. Okay. We are ready. So, okay, yeah, there will be some short presentations by our artists. So you have some idea how they work.
This is a project I just completed at the More-Than-Human-Ecologies Radio Observatory in Cambridge, and we used the square kilometer array cluster within the observatory, and this is a very short informative trailer of the actual project. So I hope you can hear, because there is also audio. Sorry, I forgot to put the speakers. No, it's fine.
Mare Incognido is the unknown ocean, so it's the ocean of the mind and the ocean of the cosmos.
I'll pause because maybe it's.
Can you check the curve too?
Can you hear?
The sound, don't hear the sound in this.
Boombox. This is another one. Maybe you can switch.
Rocky, do you know
We can
the sound? Is there how to make sound? Can you?
Probably from the computer, no?
Where's that coming from now? Projector?
Yes.
We want it just laptop.
How?
I mean, projector maybe has a better speaker than
Yeah,
laptop.
it has probably.
But it is on projector at the moment.
Yeah, I just you have to turn it up.
How?
On a projector, there's in a menu of the projector there should be a sound section.
Transmitting to space
If
the
it
brain
goes-
waves
So
of
better.
deep sleep. I always found the moment of falling asleep quite scary.
The volume is on 2, we can go to like 10.
Oh yeah, go up. Good. Very good. Okay, start it over.
Thank you.
Mare incognito is the unknown ocean, so it's the ocean of the mind and the ocean of the cosmos. It's a project where we transmit into space the brain waves of deep sleep. I always found the moment of falling asleep quite scary in a way, because it is a moment when we lose the perception of ourselves, the biographical self. We enter a space and a time that are boundless, and our thought process starts somehow breaking apart, and thoughts start becoming contaminated with each other and eventually fade away into emptiness.
If you look at how you're fully awake and thinking of particular things, whatever is happening in your head, to this hypnagogic state where things will pop in your mind and you don't really control the narrative, up to the moment that you actually lose the narrative completely and then you fall into light sleep and further down. I think there's a massive change consciously for you, hence at the human experience level. There's a massive change in the brain. So if we're going to send something to space, it might as well be the biggest change we can create in the brain and in the human experience. We send a direct reflection of human consciousness and thought. We send in whatever was in Daniela de Paula's brain happening that night.
Were you sleeping there over the night?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, in the middle of these antennas.
oh,
And again, we were not tracking anything, it was just
Yeah.
radio.
Okay, Daniel, can you explain to Juris and Alexis what did happen there? What did you do as artists there?
Yes, so
More simple words.
yes, it was a very international collaboration between the University of Cambridge, the Muller Radio Observatory, Square Kilometre Array, Donder Center, which is a neuroscience institute in the Netherlands, and the Oxford University. And essentially, it was a project that we developed over a 2 years period, and the objective of the project is to transmit into space a relativity of the moment of falling asleep and deep sleep, because we want to create a sort of poetic connection between the loss of consciousness that takes place during this moment of the sleep cycle and the cosmos. So create this kind of resonance between these two forms of emptiness.
And it was you whose brain was
Yes.
sent,
In
whose
this case-
signals were sent.
So we used the lab-grade EEG device, electroencephalogram device, and we essentially recorded this performance as a sort of art film. So there is an art film which lasts 20 minutes, which is the recording of the performance with also images of the location, etc. And so we spent the whole night at the observatory transmitting this brain activity of the moment of falling asleep and deep sleep. That's it. So it was a kind of performance.
Yeah.
And we used, as I said, this cluster of antennas, and we use special lighting, so it looks very bit like a stage. So very performative quality.
Okay, so we could put you on the top of our bigger antenna.
Yeah, this is one of the
60 meters
projects.
from the ground.
Yes.
We can test also this.
I'm also working on another project. I mentioned earlier the Sardinia Radio Telescope, and in August last year we collaborated with a satellite company called the Orbit, and they transmitted the Arecibo message towards Earth, and several radio telescopes received the signal. And this was a test for follow-up performance. So there are several radio telescopes that are going to collaborate for this performance. So this is my current project, but yeah, that's what I'm working on at the moment.
Did you, Daniel?
Yes.
Did you record the deep sleep signal also on other device, just during the performance, or it was just sent directly out and
was just transmitted?
Have a backup, so.
No, I don't know whether
waves on paper, not recorded.
No, I don't think they did record. To be honest, I didn't ask if they had the recording, but I don't think so, because that was not. I didn't ask to record the brain activity.
Right.
But it was already very challenging to convert the brain activity from the EEG signal to radio, to a frequency that we could transmit in real time as a mono sound, because the electrodes are, I think, 16 electrodes. So you have to convert those 16 channels into a mono sound. So it's already very challenging if you do it in real time. So the recording was not, I think, part of the...
So you used some custom-made equipment, or...?
No, it was a device we got from G-Tech as a sponsor, so they just lent it to us for a few months. And for the conversion of the EEG into radio signals, we used a device that is used in amateur radio, which is called... let me think about that. It's... I forgot the technical name, but it's a small device that you can buy on any website that sells this stuff. It's software-defined radio, kind of transformer.
It is only for little green men.
No, it won't be captured by green men because, as I mentioned earlier, we don't track any object. We just it's a very low power also transmission.
But they have big antennas.
Maybe they have.
Yeah, well, maybe, but I seriously doubt they will pick up this signal from all other radio waves that are already traveling from all directions.
So if 10 years later somebody will communicate, if it's in your brain, you will know. You will know that this is from your performance.
Yeah, it's not meant to communicate with extraterrestrials. It's more like about the philosophical idea of creating this connection between the inner space and outer space. So, that's, okay, that's it.
Great. So that's how contemporary artists are working more with conceptual concepts, really creating concepts, thinking about the society, the technology, and science.
Yeah, to say frankly, we had an interest from some people to send several messages to the universe. Of course, if you're talking about our antennas, we don't have at the present moment such technical opportunity, but of course we have other equipment to do this. But this is for like a PR, not for just for work or for commercial needs. So we are thinking about this, but we are not doing. But if you have any ideas, projects, we could go.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, super. Thank you, Daniela.
Thank you.
So, Juan.
Go next, yes.
HDMI is that?
Yeah, I think I need the internet password.
It's on the app. Or the video. Thank you. There you go.
Thank you, man.
No need for any new device.
No. Let's connect to the. Yep. Yep, quickly. It's my thing. Ah, honey. Let's try. Yeah, I think the internet doesn't want me. But it's okay. Also, I can talk about it and show a little movie.
Okay, short.
Yeah. Well, I can also mention what it's about. So, hi, I'm working with in my research, trying to figure new ways to sense environment. I work a lot with wind sensing, but also I've been interested in the phenomena of natural radio, how to combine these two energies. And recently I kind of work on this project of trying to divinate in a sense of how to use technologies for divination. And that involved for me to think about some practices like observing to the birds and thinking about the sensing of the birds to orient themselves by these mediums, by the magnetoreception. And they have also these cryptochromes to give a sense of where the north and to echolocate them. So I was using data from wind to manipulate this video, for example, but the idea was to get into the point of view of them, of the birds, and sense somehow how they feel through these two energies. Since there is this sort of like a mythological association or practice of divination, ornithomancy, and I was interested to see how these narratives of mythology of the wind and radio can somehow give birth or can give a new perspective on technology. No, so I'm thinking how technology can be also somehow connecting through past curiosities, and the use of new technologies like sensor technologies could also somehow update these approaches to. So the idea was to
create a device that it's sensing, as I said, the wind, but also, I mean, it would be interesting to capture the position of birds. I don't know if that could be something. But I'm building my own kind of weather stations with DIY systems, and I come up with kind of a prototype for this, and it turns. I received like 4 or multiple sensor stations into a embedded computing system that plays or creates sonification from these sensors and combines with natural radio. I still have to work on that part, but I'm interested in this phenomena of the dawn chorus that happens during the morning, and start like combining these 2 sources to create sort of ornithomancy with technology experience. And I've been working with these software-defined radio devices, but I think that there can be also many other ways to get these signals somehow. And this is the kind of the device. And yes, I think I also reflect on this kind of images which are like thinking about how technology can be thought through the eyes of indigenous cultures, and how can this be somehow reinterpreted or somehow explored in different ways than just Western scientific approaches or modern sort of knowledge. So yeah, I couldn't really connect to internet to show you my slides, but that's in a nutshell what I'm working. And yes, please, that's it. I don't know. Maybe I have some pictures. Just a second. Yeah, maybe that will be cool. I can show you some images from the device and the experience. Go to desktop. Radio. Yeah. So yeah, as I said, I'm working with low radio transmission to get all this sensor data. So it's this kind of device, and then, well, let's say the people or the visitors of the experience would try to shape the data into kind of listening to these sources. And yeah, we developed during a workshop in Madrid a few weeks ago, or almost like 1 month ago, and build the device.
So with what are you listening? Are you listening to the wind?
Yeah, well, you listen to like multiple points of wind, and you listen to this kind of orientation shaped data. So you get like some patterns. I try to get into like prediction of weather changes. So in that sense, it's the parallel with the divination. So like predicting in that way, to give in some agency to the technology to become a sort of.
What kind of wind data do you use? So how can you capture yourself, collect the data?
Yeah, I'm using microphones. So microphones placed in 4 points, and depending on the strength of the signal, of the electrical variation, then I make sort of patterns for determining where the wind is coming next, or just guessing with the machine.
Yes. And nature radio? What do you mean with the nature radio?
Natural radio, yeah. I really try to explore this electromagnetic coming from outside or from within the planet, to use it as a source to create the singing of the birds.
Frequency or extra low?
Yeah, very low frequency, at least, yes. Yeah, I think so. That will be.
So you build antennas as well?
Not yet. I would like to. I would like to learn more about this, but yeah, I'm getting there. Yes. But picking up with just with the Hack RFM radio, with this sort of software-defined radio devices. I have somewhere here that program. Is this GQRX? Maybe you know this and probably have even better stuff now. Forget about this. anything. Yeah, it's something like this, basically. You can tune to different ranges and you get the full spectrum here, but I don't have the device, so you can start toying with this kind of, you have narrow FM and different ranges of frequency, so
you can scan spectrum.
you can scan the spectrum, yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I guess like some tutorials on how to build a radio telescope on a very small scale, but you have the real deal, so that will be interesting as well.
You told that you are building your network. How many stations do you have?
I started with 4, but I would like to, try with different experiments, maybe in the city. I mean, these low radio transmitters, with a proper antenna, they can go over 3-5 kilometers. You need an amplifier and so on. But what I did is, maybe like just in a 100-meter space was working okay. Yeah. But probably with more would be more interesting, and try to get this into a machine learning process to make sense out of this data somehow.
It sounds very interesting. Why? Because historically we are research institute, and we have researchers from engineering, sciences, and we have researchers who are doing wind calculations and modeling. And our team implemented one project to make a wind atlas, a European wind atlas, so-called NEVA project. So we have such experience, and we could collaborate on that as well.
Cool.
As you see, opportunity for welcome in our quite good place.
Sounds great, fascinating.
We have competencies, we have place, we have infrastructure, we have some common projects.
Thank you. Very kind, thank you. Sounds great.
By the way, as I saw the video at the beginning, you could use the birds for spying.
Yes, I want to put them some GPS or something. So get some data would be cool. Yeah, I was interested also to learn more about your networks of sensing cities. Somehow you're working with other stations, and I learned also during the process in Madrid, I asked how they work together. But they're using other people like you, I guess, organizations.
A small meteo station, I think that this was quite old. But I was thinking about new meteo station because we are depending on weather, our observations, and we need to bring modern equipment for monitoring. And also maybe we could be stationed together.
That would be cool.
Implement your ideas.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. So that is one project exploring the sound from very, very interesting different perspectives. Okay, so it's really
This is actually so a different project.
yeah, okay.
I did earlier, but then maybe I can briefly introduce this other one.
Do you also have sound?
Yes.
You can play it, just check if it's working, if it's...
But it's just environmental sound. It is working, okay. I think it's a bit too loud, probably.
This is from laptop. It's okay.
Yeah.
This is just
We're a bit...
full screen.
Yeah.
Full screen.
Okay, so This is a project I did during a residency in Fukushima in Japan. And as you know, Fukushima is one of the places where major nuclear accidents took place. It was 2011, and yeah, after the tsunami, the reactor had a meltdown. And this project is called Build Welcome in This Land. So I was reflecting on the infrastructure used for transporting electricity. And also, it is also obviously connected to this idea of how radioactive contamination is present in the land, which is also like unable to avoid this massive consume of electricity. And basically also like in the countryside where this electricity is produced, there are like massive infrastructures. So this is a collaboration with a local performer, Higuchi Yuti, and we thought of these infrastructures as a colonizer that we wanted to welcome as a guest in a way. They have also such an anthropomorphic shape, these electricity towers. And so we re-elaborated the ritual of the tea ceremony, a Japanese ritual, to offer a different sort of tea. This is not tea, these are like herbs that we collected in the mountains to the tower, thinking of this idea of offer instead of rejecting. And we made fire there and warmed up the water with fire and went to collect the herbs in the mountain. And yeah. And his face is covered with mud, which is actually a way to take off one's identity in a ritualistic practice. So you basically become no one, so that you can offer without being you. And yeah, this is the shortest version of this video. Like the longer one is 25 minutes.
You can explain again. So, what is the connection between why this site and what is the ceremony they are doing?
So, do you know the tea ceremony in Japan is a ritual that is symbolically welcoming as a guest. And so we thought of thinking of the electricity tower as a guest instead of a colonizer of the land. So these infrastructures that we build and that take so much space in our vision in a way, and that are just there, we thought of.
So this is a tea ceremony.
Tea ceremony, yes.
For this electric
tower.
Tower.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, how about this electric grid? So this was for Fukushima?
Yes, this is in Fukushima.
But it's not working anymore. Fukushima is still generating?
There, like in this village where I was, there was a huge electric turbine and construction. Fukushima is not functioning anymore. But still, there are many other places, and also Japan is thinking about building a final repository for this course. Like my project is a lot about radioactivity. But I can show you also briefly what I presented yesterday, which is something that is happening now. I'm developing this project. So I was looking at 9 lighthouses that have been built or readapted to function with radionuclide thermoelectric generators here in Latvia, and this is the list. It's a small nuclear reactor that, due to not requiring any human maintenance, was left in a state of abandonment after the fall of the Soviet Union, and so people have been stealing parts of this reactor without knowing what it was and contaminating themselves, and yeah. And only recently this has been bonified. And also I've been looking at the Zeltini nuclear missilistic base, which was a secret base where missiles could have reached target in all Europe. And I have collected soil samples from Zeltini, and these are pictures that I took there, and worked in collaboration with scientists from the Helsinki University to decode Edina, Latvian poetry singing, into sound. So basically, I've been connecting the mythological idea of the mythological figure of the Tree of Dawn to the idea of radioactive contamination. And so I was starting researching the sun, the figure of the sun in the Latvian mythology, and looking for a connection, because the sun is itself generator of radioactivity. And then I encountered this other figure of the Tree of Dawn, which was deemed to have appeared in the path of the sun. And this is a drawing I did of the symbol of the tree. And so I took these 2 poems, these 2 variations of the poem, and starting to decode them through a formula that I had somewhere here. Through this, with the help of a musician friend. And actually, like, the sound doesn't play if I don't do like this.
But again, what were these formulas?
This is this is a formula of the activity.
Activity of the sun? Or
So I took plutonium-238.
Not for the sun.
No, I took the substance which was actually used in these reactors. But I don't hear the sound here now. Well,
No, it's not playing.
it is playing. It's just very low. So using the speculation of what would have happened if this reactor would have been working in 44 years from now. So we took this equation, thinking about what the mass of the of the nuclear reactor would be, comparing the ones that are used in space with what was used to power the lighthouses, and came up with numbers that we've been using to decode the poem into sound. But unfortunately, the sound is not hearable. And then later I will work on a performance that will start from chromatography, soil chromatography from a sample taken in Zeltini, and the movements of a slime mold, which is an amoeba that, without having a brain, is able to find the fastest route between 2 food sources, and it's been studied and also used for video games. So.
Very interesting. I see the clothes very close, how to say, field for our collaboration, because we have our solar group, so we have researchers Russia know very well about this group, so we are observing, we are modeling these processes. We could bring this data for further processing from your side, for example. And yeah, I need to mention that we have radio telescopes, but there is no radiation there.
Of course.
Don't worry. Yeah. But anyway, you know, we could use your ideas. We could work. Why not?
Yeah, been also like in these collaborations I had with the scientists, I also thought, how can we actually contribute in doing something together, not just, you know, one-sided, the scientist does something for the artists, or
something for scientists.
yeah, I mean, I was also like working in a project, in a project of collaboration between art and science, and one of the questions that we had is like, how can we work together? And like one of the possible conflicts is ethic most of the times, but also like that we need a common goal, so we need to like to look for something that is interesting for both sides. And
yeah, I completely agree, and I need to say that if we are talking about scientists, it is not a problem to receive this data from space. Now we are working on technical issues, so we are modernizing some collaborators to take this data more precise way. But the more complex thing for scientists is to process this data, to explain this data, what they are receiving. Because you can use optical data, optical telescopes, it is one, but radio telescopes and others, so you could explain what you are doing, what you are receiving. This may be, could be the common point for collaboration.
Yeah,
if
but
you receive the data, you could think about.
Yeah. But how would you benefit from an artist? Like, that's my question. How would the scientific research benefit from this collaboration?
To say frankly, if we are talking about researchers,
yes,
we are getting this benefit through the scientific publications of papers and conferences. And if we are talking about further steps, of course, this is like a scientific or dissemination of scientific results for the society, to explain what we are doing, why we are doing it. Because, as you know, I think that in every country they have governmental support. It means that you need to explain what you are doing, not just observing the skies. But what is your added value? Why you are doing it? So this could be one of the tools to explain it. We are doing this, and you can see, you can taste this, you can listen to this, not just in papers or looking through the optical telescope.
Yeah, makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah. And I was in an astronautical congress, the previous one, and we were talking with colleagues from Australia. They were working on closest projects, and they are using for communication society to explain what they are doing, why they're doing, why we need to observe the sun or other paradoxes.
Okay, I think we have done with the presentations, and I think people still would like to go also outside and take a full time, but maybe a couple of questions we still can take. Maybe we have to ask something from what you have seen. So you have a chance now, artists. Please ask scientists.
The last chance.
Last chance. Last
It's
10 minutes.
just a joke, because we could meet later. I just found the video
From Scooby-Doo.
from Scooby-Doo, maybe from the girls will be interesting. Muito interessante.
Radiotélescope Irbene en Lettonie. Sa coupole de 32 mètres d'envergure fait partie des plus grandes d'Europe. Mais un astrophysicien va tout nous expliquer. Bon, c'est à côté de Riga, la capitale. Pas plus. On est à présent, mais on a encore pas mal de chemin à parcourir. J'espère que cette petite visite de Bielus vous aura plu. On est à présent en Lettonie et on passe juste à côté de Riga, la capitale. Ah voilà, nous sommes arrivés. Le radiotélescope Irbene en Lettonie. Sa coupole de 32 mètres d'envergure fait partie des plus grandes d'Europe. Mais un astrophysicien va tout nous expliquer. Bonjour, professeur. Nous sommes le Scooby Gang, bienvenue au centre d'écoute des étoiles. D'abord, il faut savoir qu'un radiotélescope serait un horizon radioélectrique provenant de l'espace. Et c'est ici que nous recueillons toutes les données. Plus le radiotélescope est grand, plus nous récupérons d'informations. Nous sommes associés au programme européen nos phares. C'est un ensemble de radiotélescopes situés partout en Europe et connectés entre eux pour composer le plus grand radiotélescope du monde à l'écoute de l'espace. Ah bon? Ah bon, je me demande quel bruit ça peut bien faire, mais c'est tout. J'ai un propre des extraterrestres. Non, c'est ma montre qui m'a dit que j'ai un appel, une certaine Vera.
Samy, Scooby, puisqu'on vous dit que c'était pas des extraterrestres, allez, venez, on va rejoindre Vera en Estonie.
Oh, bon, d'accord, mais pas où, c'est ça.
C'est récent que ça venir ici. Oui, et les trois pays baltes font le bonheur des randonneurs de toute l'Europe. Par exemple, la Lituanie compte 2400 lacs. Quant à la Lettonie, les espaces naturels protégés représentent 20% du territoire et la moitié de l'Estonie est recouverte de forêt. Sans compter que l'Estonie fait partie des pays européens où le camping sauvage est autorisé.
Génial, dormir à la belle étoile, j'adore l'idée. Je vais pouvoir tester le mode camping de notre van.
Ok, suivez-moi, je vous emmène à la colline de l'œuf.
On mange des omelettes sur cette colline.
Bien que les pays baltes soient proches géographiquement et qu'ils aient...
This was a short video about.
What are these blue dots? Is that
I don't know the French. Maybe Professor Žagars could translate.
They were showing Lithuania with blue dots. What they were.
I have not understood.
And they were
I had to go closer.
yeah. What is here?
Oui, les trois pays baltes font le bonheur des randonneurs de toute l'Europe. Par exemple, la Lituanie compte 2400 lacs. Quant à la Lettonie, les espaces naturels protégés représentent 20%
2000 lakes.
Professor Žagars is working in France, so he's a professor in one of the institutes or universities.
Okay, so thank you very much for Scooby-Doo ending. I think it's really cool. Okay, thank you. Okay. Yeah.